all the successful poets have tracked the path of transcending. They start from what the eyes see or the hands feel or the ears hear, and they travel into space and time and direct their focus on to the beyond. Poetry has a rhythm as the beat of the heart. It's a beautiful expression. It's the heart that flows in poetry. And to connect the rhythm of a poem with the beat of a heart is a very successful gesture of the speaker. It's beautiful. All the poets in all the lands, through all the corridor of time, have been inspired, and inspired in such a way that their consciousness flowed, and this came out as poetry. Some saw the dawn and his heart flowed, welcomed the sun, and he saw the setting sun and his heart flowed, and he gave a farewell to the sun. The rise of the moon and his heart flowed, his consciousness flowed. The golden aura around the moon, beautiful. His heart flowed and he gave a picture to it in his words. It's the flow of life, and every impulse of the progression is through that, what we call creative intelligence. Someone started to bless the night, the deep dark night, how motherly you are and how soothing you are to everyone. You come and you put everyone to sleep, to rest. This flow of life in every way, through all the waves of time, the hearts have been flowing, the consciousness has been flowing, depicting the path of progress, the path of evolution, spontaneous path of evolution through every impulse of creative intelligence. Some poets came to become known, others remained forlorn, but they flowed equally well, like that. The poetry is the flow of life, the flow of consciousness, and it is poetical. It is poetical. The life becomes poetical, it becomes rhythmic, it advances in the waves of time. All these ancient seers, they saw the rhythm of life, and they became the expression of eternal knowledge, Veda. The consciousness, how the waves started from the silent bed of the sea, and the wave started, and the wave fell, and how from that falling the impetus for a new wave came, and then it fell and rose and fell. This rising and falling of the waves of awareness, waves of consciousness, when structured on that level of infinity, on that level of eternity, they became the expressions of eternal knowledge, the expression of eternal being. This is the Vedas. I have called the Pandits, and we'll hear the eternal poetry that man ever enjoyed. Madhu Chandas saw an impulse of his awareness falling into that unbounded ocean of infinity, unbounded ocean of being. And immediately his heart flowed, his voice flowed, his consciousness flowed, And when his consciousness flowed, he saw his vision, inner vision created. His inner vision was created in terms of the flow, and he said, Agni Mile. Now we'll hear the Pandits traditionally how Agni Mile flowed, and when it came out into the gross expression of speech, Agni Mile, we'll see how Agni Mile, how it flowed, the rhythm of the natural flow of eternal expression of life, when the individual awareness is falling into the unbounded sea of consciousness. The picture of transcending, the impulse of transcending, the feeling of transcending, the awareness of transcending. Awareness includes understanding and feeling as well. How the mind felt, how the heart felt, and how it came out to be the rhythm of life, rhythm of consciousness, rhythm of wisdom, eternal knowledge, infinite eternal knowledge. And because it's the flow of life, this a phenomenon, a happening, any expression of a phenomenon is an expression of life. Life in its unboundedness, in the infinite, in the unmanifest value, and life as its expression in the finite values. The expression of life from infinity to the finite, from the unbounded silent surface of the ocean to the rising waves and falling waves, from the absolute to the relative. This field of life pulsating into the waves of living, all the waves of perception, the waves of feeling, the waves of understanding. They are all the waves of life, expression of life. And when a phenomenon touches the heart, the individual field of life gets united with the environmental field of life, with the cosmic value of life. Now we'll see in the Vedic expressions how the individual got into the cosmic, and there was the connection lively, and these became the expressions of the Vedas. Now we'll mark when Madhu Chandas flowed into the waves of life. It flowed into a poetical way. It's poetical. The heart flowed. The impulse of the heart flowed. The wave of individual life started to sink into the silent ocean of cosmic life, and this was the dawn or the bliss. So we'll see the source of poetry. Source of poetry is the source of the flow of life, the source of creative intelligence. From there it flows, and when it flows in the waves. Waves have ups and downs are all for all the ups. So the poetry is never a static narration. It doesn't go the same way. It has to have ups and downs, and all the downs are to have all the ups possible. We'll hear We'll hear Agni Mile, and just see how it flows. What is important to feel now is the flow of life in the currents of wisdom, where the heart flows and the mind follows. Understanding goes along with it. Both the things. It's just a matter of experiencing the phenomenon of flow. Let us hear.
Bhadranno apivatayamana. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Agni Purohitam Yajnasya Deva Mritbijam होतारं रत्नधातमम् अग्निः पूर्वेभिरर्षिभिरीड्यो नूतनैरुता सदेवां व एहवक्रति अग्निनारयिमश्नवत्पोषमेव दिवे दिवे यशसं वीरवत्तमम् अग्नेयं यज्ञमध्वरं विश्वतः परिभूरति स इद्देवेषु गच्छति अग्निर्होता कविकरातु सत्यश्चित्रश्रावस्तमः देवो देवेभिरागामत यदङ्गदाशुषे त्वमग्ने भद्रं कारिष्यसि तवेतत्सत्यमङ्गिरा उपत्वाग्ने दिवे दिवे दोषावस्तर्धिया वयम् नमो भरन्त एमासि राजन्तमध्वराणाम् गोपामृतस्य दीवीम् वर्धमानौ स्वेदमे सनः पितेवा सूनवेग्ने सूपायनो भाव स चास्त्वान स्वस्तये.
Here is the harmony of flow on both levels. Speech, sound flows, meaning flows with it, inherent in it. So the meaning flows in the ways of harmony. As beautiful as the sound is, so beautiful is the meaning. Here is the expression of the flow of full value of life. Consciousness flows, and when consciousness flows, the sound and what it means both are contained in each step that flows. So in the flow of life, understanding, experience, perception, when the speech flows in the value of the meaning, then it flows in waves. Just because the expression of life is in its steps of progress musical. Only the waves flow, and the moment the flow is in waves, it's musical, it's poetical, it's poetry. The whole creation is the song of the Creator, is the poetry, which has the grandeur of the meaning and the beauty, the tenderness, the softness and the joy, the swings of the feeling, the meaning and the feeling. When both are contained in their complete value, then the words don't come out on a static level of sameness of prose. They take the shape of the waves, because the waves flow. More heart involved in it, full heart involved in it, but the mind can't be left behind, because it's enjoyable. The flow of the heart is enjoyable, and therefore in poetry full life flows, full value of the life flows. For a poet, the perception of a phenomenon is just an excuse for his consciousness, which is already flowing, to flow with something which can be, on which the fingers can be put. Something. When Vasishtha saw the situation of cosmic consciousness, the self and the non-self, he flowed into something. We'll hear how his heart flowed into that situation.
सुविज्ञानन्ति कितुषे जनाय सत्या सत्यवचसि पस्पृधाते तयोर्यत्सत्यं यथरदृजीयस्तदित्सोमो अवतिहन्त्यासत।
पूरा सूक्त
नवा उसोमो वृजिनं हीनोति नक्षत्रियं मिथुया धारयन्तम् हन्ति रक्षो हन्त्या सद्वदं तमुभाविन्द्रस्य प्रसीतौ सयाते यदि वाहमनृतदेव आसमोघं वा देवाप्यूहे अग्ने किमस्मभ्यं जातवेदो हृणीशे द्रोघवाचस्ते निरृतं सचन्ताम् अद्यामूलीय यदि यातुदानो अस्मि यो यातुधानो य इदं कृणोति।
For the seeker of glorious science, suvijnanam, for the seeker of, or for the student of a glorious science, the reality and non-reality, they face each other, the reality and the non-reality. They envy each other. This is the picture of cosmic consciousness. Vasishtha, he saw the self and the non-self. The non-self, ever-changing, standing face to face with the self, ever non-changing, eternal, unbounded self is faced with the ever-changing non-self. And this is for someone who has risen to that situation where he can have the discrimination, he can have the reality of discrimination between the reality and non-reality, non-changing, unbounded and ever-changing boundaries. And this he sees, and sees that creative intelligence, Agni, Jata Vedas, Agni. Agni, creative intelligence, who knows everything. The all-knowing creative intelligence will be instituting its activity on the level of the non-reality and will raise it to the level of reality. The non-self will rise to the state of unbounded eternal self by virtue of creative intelligence. Vasishtha sees this, sees a student of higher science, student of a glorious science, instrumenting his creative intelligence and allowing the non-reality to rise to reality from cosmic consciousness to unity consciousness. Vasishtha sees it, and when he sees it, his heart pulsated into that value of the vision. And what he finds is, two are faced, two opposite values of life, reality and reality, are facing each other. They are envying each other. They are envying each other means one is trying to become the other. The self is trying to usurp the value of the non-self. The non-self is envying the self because the non-self is ever changing, self is unbounded. So this non-self is trying to usurp the value of the self. Both are ready to swallow each other, to devour each other. And this is on the way to inquiry into the supreme value of life. And the inquirer is the seeker of glorious science, seeker of higher science. We'll hear this again, flow of Vasishtha. इसको फिर से कहें, यही वशिष्ठ, हाँ, सच्चा यही सुविज्ञानम फिर से कहेंगे.
सुविज्ञानन्ति कितुषे जनाय सच्चा सच्चवचासि पस्पृधाते तयोर्यत् सत्यं यातरद्रीयस्तदित्सोमो अवति हन्त्यासत् न वा उसोमो वृजिनं हीनोति नक्षत्रियम् मिथुया धारयन्तम् हन्तिरक्षो हन्त्यासद्वदम् तमुभाविन्द्रस्य प्रसीतौ सयाते यदि वाहमनृतदेव आसमोघम् वा ते अप्यूहे अग्रे किमस्मभ्यम् जातवेदोर्नीशे द्रोहवाचस्ते निरृतम् सचन्ताम्.
It's beautiful. Because it's such an original flow of life. It captures the heart, and if we know the language, it captures the mind. The whole thing gets into the flow of the transcendental reality. Something very profound. This is the supreme flow of poetry, where the meaning and the sound have such extreme, intimate relationship that they overtake the whole value of life, and the whole value of life flows in the waves. The most profound, most successful poetry is the impulse of creation. Such perfection, such variety, and such harmonious organization of this complex variety. Creation, because it is the song of the Creator, which is present everywhere. Just because of this value, it creates every phenomenon, creates an impulse, and excites a heart which could really flow. And a heart which can flow if it is nearby this speech which can catch the flow and express it in words, poetry springs. The creation is there as a first impulse of excitation in the heart of the poet. And if the speech is there, as lively as the song of the Creator in creation, if not as lively, then at least to some degree similar, then the speech picks that up and the artist flows. Poetry is a spontaneous thing. It's not contrived. It's never contrived. It's a spontaneous flow of life. And we know if the fluid is really thin, if it's not thick, then it flows. If the field of life, if the consciousness, if the heart is capable of flowing, if consciousness is pure, if it's abstract, if it's not concrete, solid, then a pure consciousness is capable of flowing. If it's not pure, if it's mixed, if it's not abstract, pure consciousness, if it is solid, concrete, if the water is frozen, it doesn't flow. It needs pushes. It can't flow by itself. So when pure consciousness is lively, the whole life becomes musical, poetical. It flows. Every perception of a phenomenon is the impulse of poetry. Every step of one's own living is a step of poetry. It flows. The whole emphasis of this spontaneously flowing creation as a song of the Creator is to inspire in every life that ability to flow. Any poetry, doesn't matter what, in any age, doesn't matter in what language, it is the flow of life. It inspires. And the basis of this inspiration is the ever-flowing song of the Creator in every little bit of creation, in every phenomenon of creation, in every impulse of creation is that song lively. And it's a matter of who can pick up what. Every human heart is capable of picking up the entire musical expression of the Creator, just because the nervous system is capable of having that cosmic consciousness and bounded awareness. And with this, the entire song of creation can be enjoyed in every impulse of one's own little single individual activity. The whole life could become the eternal song of the Creator. The God sang his song and the expression of creation came on, and the man made in the image of God has the ability to comprehend that eternal song of the Creator in the impulse of every perception, every breath, every activity of his. And this is the ability of man. It only needs upsurge of pure consciousness, upsurge of creative intelligence, more and more. And in this case, when we say creative intelligence, when we say intelligence, we do not take away the precious aspect of intelligence, pure intelligence, the field of feeling is involved in it. Generally, intellect and heart they seem to be separate. But in this case, when we are considering the flow of life, the total value of life is involved. So when we say creative intelligence, we don't lose the sight of creative heart, flowing heart. It's in the development of creative intelligence that the more melting ability of the heart is imbibed. We'll hear something more from Rig Veda.
Nivartatvam manugatasman sishaktarevati agni shoma punarvasu asmedharayatam rayim punarena nivartaya punarena nyakuru Indra ena niyachatvagnirena upajatu punareta nivartanta masmin pushyantu gopatau ihaivagne nidharaye hatitatu yadaihi yenniyananyayanam samjnanayat parayanam Avartanam nivartanam yogopa apitam huve Yaudanadhyayanam yaudanat parayanam Avartanam nivartanam api gopa nivartatam Anivartani vartayat punarnanda indragadehi Jiva virpunajamahai Parivo vishvato dada urja Hirtena payasa Ye deva kecha yajniya Steraya samudrojantuna Ani vartana vartaya nini vartana vartaya Bhumya shatasra pradishastabhya ena nivartaya. भृगु वही वारुणी वरुण का लड़का भृगु जो भृगु उपनिषद जिसका है
Bhrigu cognized it's such richness of the expression of the entire philosophy of life, and that in one word, nivartadvam, retire. You retire from the gross, get to the subtle, retire from the subtle, get to the transcendent, retire from the transcendent, come to the gross, retire from the gross, come to the subtle, and in this way retiring from the one, getting on to the other, retiring from the relative, getting on to the absolute, and then retire from this retiring. As long as we are retiring, what we are doing, stepping from one field to the other, this is the wave, the rise and fall and rise and fall and rise and fall, and eventually the whole goal of rise and fall is to never rise and never fall. This is the poetry of life. The whole flow of the poetry of life demands something which will stop flowing or something which will continue to flow forever without anywhere going or coming. When the eternity becomes the home of all the waves, then one is always there, even when one is going everywhere, one is always stationary in one's own infinite unboundedness of life. To this, and the whole philosophy is so beautiful. The whole picture. Varuni, the son of Bhrigu saw this, the whole thing. And what he saw was waves of life are structuring the unboundedness of infinity. The same familiar example that you have, the pillar and the wall and the ceiling and the floor, and all this is being structured for the sake of giving a house, a comfortable dwelling. The entire field of Agni, creative intelligence, the entire field of Agni, the whole course of activity under the impulse of creative intelligence is structuring the whole progressive field, always advancing field, always evolving field of relative life. It's structuring. And for that, what? It is for the sake of building something which is more than the collection of all these buildings in their relative. House is something more than the collection of all these bricks and walls and ceilings and pillars. The home is something more than this. The reality is something more than what creative intelligence keeps on structuring. The whole procedure of structuring is in terms of isolated individual instances, individual phenomena and individual existences. But the purpose of all this is to present the wholeness which is more than the collection of these individuals. The whole cosmic creative intelligence in creating all this earth and the moon and all the galactic phenomenon, the whole thing, the purpose of all this is to bring the knowledge of the non-changing wholeness, Brahman, unity. And that unity should pulsate in every breath of one's life, in every activity, in every perception, in every thought. That wholeness pulsates, and then the creative intelligence is satisfied when something more has spontaneously been created. Something, the fruit of all creation. Creation is in segments, in particles, in here, there, like that. And this itself is musical. This itself is the upsurge of the song of life. This itself is a poetry. The poetry is fulfilled when something more than what the heart enjoys, and something more than that which the mind enjoys, something more than the intellect can comprehend, and something more that the feelings can cherish. When that comes up, then the poetry gives in. The entire purpose of poetry is to fill the life of the poet in the unmoving steadiness of eternal field of life, where the waves may come and go, but he is stationary in the non-coming, non-going, infinite, unbounded value of life. And here is the success of poetry. Here is the goal of poetry. When the joy, initially inspired by some aspect of the song of Creator, something seen, some object seen, some phenomenon seen, something felt, with that aspect of the song of the Creator, the creative intelligence of the individual inspires an impulse, a warm impulse in the heart and understanding, and that starts to flow in the channels of creation. A poet sings and writes. Either he sings and writes through his speech, or his speech is mute, his hands move and they create. If the hands don't move, then the feet move, and here he comes, the cosmic dance of the dancer, of the music. So, in any sense, something of the individual life will be inspired to rise in the waves. And because every aspect of activity of the individual is the wave of individual life, and always a wave has a direction and a goal. Every aspect of the wave of the individual is directed towards that wholeness, which is the fruit of all creativity in the single individual, the life in its wholeness, fullness, double fullnesses. So the purpose of poetry is to connect the song of individual life with the song of the Creator, so that the individual may pulsate in the dignity of the Creator. This is the beautiful, solemn, sacred purpose of the flow of poetry. That cosmic flow of life, rhythm of that, to much higher rises and falls, and Rigveda became Samaveda. Someone cognized that, and his heart could swing into those risings and fallings of those waves of consciousness. And when that thing was accomplished, the truth dawned, the expressions of truth pulsated in the ups and downs of poetry, music. In the Vedas, it's called chandas. Some other seers, some other rishis, when they found that there is a chance for this rhythm to have more long jumps, they threw themselves in those gallopings of much longer jumps of the Chandasas, and then what they recorded was big, huge, long jumps, all the possible long jumps, horses galloping, the song of life rising in much longer rhythms. And these, the same Rigvedic hymns which sung the song of life and expressed the values in their musical tune, they became galloping musical notes. And now we'll hear the galloping musical notes of Sama. Let's hear some Sama.
अध्वरणम् पुरोदममच्छ
परपिता पुत्रेभ्यो यथा शिक्षाणो अस्मिन् पुरोहूतयामनि जीवा ज्योतिरचीमहि
इन्द्र
What you have heard is hymn of Rigveda sung in Samaveda. Now listen another hymn of Rigveda and Samaveda.
Soma pavate janitamatinañ janita divo janita prithivya janita agne janita suryasya जनितेन्द्रस्य जनितोऽत विष्णोः सोमः पवते जनिता
display of the creative intelligence, it's in such great perfection, just for the sake of our amusement. What this seer cognized? He saw, where are our champions of biochemistry? He saw, the Rishi sees the spring of Soma, the spring of Soma falling. And what he sees in that? This substance, this chemical Soma, is the creator of the impulses of creative intelligence. Impulses of creative intelligence rising from the falling Soma. Soma flows, and from that flow emerge various currents of creative intelligence. And all those creative intelligence, currents of creative intelligence, those impulses of creative intelligence are counted in the following words, that the Surya, the sun, is one, and the Prithvi is one, this earth is one. All the 5 elements have been counted there. That these basic rays of intelligence, they emerge from Soma. He cognized that. He flowed into that. It's a flow of life. It's a flow of creativity. It's the flow of, this is the song of the Creator. Here is the emergence of the intelligence or the mental aspect of life from the concrete physical value of Soma. There is something which is in between, we would say, the impulse of mental existence and the impulse of physical existence. Soma is yet physical, but it is that physical aspect of life which is in tune with the radiance of the mental phase of existence. So here, the pure creative intelligence, pure consciousness of the seer sees this beautiful, as we see from the words of a poet falling from his lips. From where they are falling? From the lips they are falling. Now the seer, in his pure consciousness, sees from where this diversity of creation coming out, from where it's shooting forth. And here he finds, oh, this is the soma, the flow of soma giving rise to the radiance of creativity in different phases which constitute the building blocks of creation. It's a beautiful cognition. So one seer sees it, and he sees the truth, and he finds it in a flowing melody, When the other takes his awareness to that flowing melody, he comes out with something more than that, something which was inherent in that. He stretches the rubber band, and the rubber band stretches, and it stretches in the song of Samaveda. What is this? What is the significance of this unstretched rubber band and fully stretched rubber band? Where is the significance of it? The significance of it is in the continuance of the change. There is a change. A wave rises and it falls. But it doesn't fall to disappear. It falls to rise up. And then the rising again falls, and it falls to rise up. So there is a wave, a structure of a wave, which presents a rise and a fall. But within the rise, within one rise and within one fall is contained the continuity, the innumerable rising and falling ability. And this is what I said, the galloping of the poetry of life in Samaveda. An apple tree, an apple seed grows into an apple tree. It produces apple. And here is the completion of one circle of creative intelligence. From the cause to the effect and back to the cause, the circle is complete. But for creative intelligence, one time creating the apple from the seed and creating the seed in the apple is not enough. The tradition of seed and apple creating each other, one after the other. Year after year the seasons come, and the same apple seed creating the same apple fruit, and the same apple fruit creating the same apple seed, and the same apple seed creating the same apple tree, and the same apple seed, and the same apple tree, and the same apple seed, and the same apple tree. Continuation is another phase of creative intelligence inherent in the ever-dying creativity of the creative intelligence, waves of creativity. One thing created and then it falls, and one thing created and then it falls. But it never falls in extinction. It falls to continue. This is the reality of creation. Then that cycle, when it is complete, it continues on and on and on and on. The mandala, there are mandalas in the Rig Veda, the mandal, the circle. One circle is not enough. Even though it seems that the creative intelligence, springing from a source, taking its whole journey, coming back to the source, the travel, the hunter coming out of the home and going around all the woods and comes back home in the evening. The journey is complete. But this is not the complete story of life. The story of life is in the continuance of these completed stories, one after the other, one after the other, one after the other. This is the significance of some short galloping somewhere. Rig Veda presents that, and some long galloping, long jumps. The creative intelligence rejoices in jumping high and long over and over again and again. The beautiful expression of the reality of life. It's not enough that the same apple seed brings the same apple and then the same apple brings the same seed. Not enough. A tradition has to be there. And this is the orderly nature of creative intelligence. Orderly. There is system. There is order. Coming back home is not enough. Nivartadvam, retiring from the gross, is not enough. You must retire from here, from the absolute, go to the relative. Must retire from relative to the absolute. And then keep on retiring from one phase to the other till you retire from this kind of retiring. The song of life is eternal. The poetry of life is eternal. It just must continue. Only in order to continue with it, we must rise to that, to the appreciation of that eternal song of the Creator in creation. The cosmic consciousness is the field in which we enjoy the real poetry of life. Now let's enjoy something more. Same, Rick and Sam, same.
Ratarindram avitarindram have have suhavam shuramindram vayami shakram puruhutamindram swastino magava dhatvindra. Garga Rishi.
Garga's cognition. Rishi Garga.
Have Suhavangso
Continuity of the melody of life is the joy of the Creator. And the continuity can only be in allowing the phase of change to be. If there is no change, the continuity could be monotonous in itself. The poet breaks this monotony of continuity. He creates. He creates impulses out of a static recognition of a phenomenon. He appreciates one phenomenon. He sees something. He hears the chirping of a bird. The bird cuckoo said cuckoo. And the word is gone. The cuckoo flew. And from that cuckoo, the poet, the musician, the singer creates waves of melody. And this is poetry. A poet sees the static vision of a beautiful sunrise or sunset or moonrise, full moon. Perception is static. It's not enough for him to have the appreciation of that static value of cognition or perception. He creates waves from that perception. And this is his poetry. This is his creation. It was not enough for the Creator that the Absolute was. It was not enough for him that the Absolute continued. No. From that static state, he started to create waves. And this flow of creation is the creation of the Creator. So static is never enough. Progress is always the nature of life. This flow of a poet in his creation of a poem is a nature of life. It must not remain static. It must give in to dynamism, to flow, to progress, to evolution, to fulfillment. And the state of fulfillment is never a static state. It's a state where all dynamism rejoices its value in something which is the same. Eternal continuance of dynamism is the state of fulfillment. Fulfillment is never static. If it appears to be static, it's ignorance. In ignorance only, fulfillment could be considered to be static. No. Transcendental state is dear to us because it has the ability to survive, and not only to survive for itself, but to give impetus to the life of the immanent. The transcendent is valuable because it can give rise to all immanent values. Not only give rise, but when the change threatens the existence, the transcendental values underlying even the phenomenon of change allows breath to be breathed by change, and change breathes life in the continuance of its existence. The change continues on the level of non-changing being. So it was never enough for the Creator to see that there was life and there was infinite value of life, and that infinite continues. It can't continue. It can't be allowed to continue in its static value. That state of fulfillment rejoiced and became a lively fulfillment in the expression of creation, and this was the song of the Creator. And every little phase of the song of the Creator, every individual, the individual is just a phase of the eternal song of the Creator. And every phase of the song of Creator was created in the image of the Creator, so that every little aspect of the song of Creator, that is every individual, could really enjoy the entire melody of creation. And this is the human individual. Procedure to get on to the appreciation of that eternal song of the Creator is regular practice of transcendental meditation. And we now want the whole creation, every single man on earth, to enjoy that song of Creator in its full value, and we come out with a world plan. World plan is this just the successful sketch of the architect of creation for every created individual, so that every man has a home in that eternal melody of life. Every man's activity, every activity shares the strength and joy and the expansion and the eternity and the unboundedness of the cosmic value of creation. We'll hear some sound where there. Melody gives a flow, an extension. Melody gives a flow, an extension to the expression of life. Melody gives a flow, an extension. Melody extends the expression of life. Some, as I said before, some phenomenon, some perception, localized in its value, static in its character, gets a dynamic character. It flows. This is what melody does. In the melody of Sama, it's not only the flow of speech, it is the expression of the reality of the meaning of the speech. There came a word Chidoham. Chidoham is a word. I am consciousness. It's a meaning to it. The unboundedness, the expansion of consciousness, that characteristic of consciousness which is unbounded, because in our meditation we experience transcendental consciousness as unbounded. Fine. That unboundedness gets broken and murdered when we say, I am consciousness. Chidoham. It's such a short thing. It doesn't flow. It doesn't picture the unboundedness. It doesn't bring in the real character of consciousness. What it brings is the static relationship of that consciousness with me. I am that, Chidoham. But it doesn't picture the real character of it. When Sama sings, sing Chidoham. Chido, consciousness. It's not a short thing. Chido, unbounded consciousness. And hum in that case is neither localized. Hum. Chido, far extending. Hum, far extending. And in this unboundedness of both, there is the relationship of oneness of both. Sing again. This is the purpose of the expression in melody, which contrasts the purpose of the expression in prose. This is poetry. The prose hints at the meaning. The poetry brings in the lively character of the meaning in the flow of the words. And this is what makes meaning melodious. The expression of life has that continuity underneath all change, has that infinite dynamism in the midst of all static existences, static expressions of existence in its individual characters. But what makes it flow and go for all times? Change is not extinction. It goes on and on and on and on, and there is symmetry of its going on and on and on. The same apple tree, and the next generation of it the same, and the next generation of it in the same, and the same, and the same. Same ups and downs of the waves are repeated, and this is what makes life melodious. And as long as the static value of change is not transformed into that dynamism of ever-going, ever-moving eternity, so long the story of life is not complete. This is the value of Sama. It raises that ever-changing field of life to a status of never-changing field of being. In CC, in cosmic consciousness, self-unbounded, non-self boundaries, full of boundaries. As the consciousness grows from CC to UC, from cosmic consciousness to unity, what is taking place? A transformation of the boundaries into the value of the unboundedness, so that the unbounded objectivity, the unbounded, the non-self which was boundaries has become unbounded. Self was already unbounded. Then the two states of unboundedness, they meet together, and that is what the character of unity is. The purpose of Sama is to lengthen the short-lived, evanescent, fleeting nature of relativity and make it continuity of infinity. A practical value of experience in cosmic consciousness, self and non-self. Non-self is ever changing. It's like the quick falling expressions of a prose. I go there. It has a meaning, but it could be jarring. But if I could go there, and if I am really running on to it, the expression must be a long stretched expression. And if I say, I am running, it's such a short expression of that fast moving object. It doesn't picture the reality. If the melody comes, I am running, in the long stretched, I am running like that. Chido hum. Chido, long chido, hum, long hum. It characterizes the situation. And to characterize the situation of the flow of life is the success of poetry. This is poetry. It lengthens the short steps of progress, makes it long, makes it enjoyably long. So the range of poetry, the field of poetry is the infinite field of being. And that is why it has melody. That is the value of it. To unite the separated, to unite the separate. In relativity, everything is separate from everything else. In poetry, like Mother Divine, rises to put all the children together. All these ever-changing states of consciousness, waking, dreaming and sleeping, find their home in the non-changing eternity of unbounded awareness, which never changes. All the children scattered here and there, and the mother says, oh, come on. In this long stretched on, they just come on. This is poetry. It has a value in the breath of life which goes on and on and on and on. There was a beautiful passage, in the beautiful meaning that this last Psalm Vedic recitation exposed. And what it did was, the unity, the seer cognized the mechanics of unity of the individual with wholeness of Brahman. Three characteristics of that wholeness. It's very pretty. I just can't resist speaking it up. It is, what is that, Vishwarupa, and then Vrishabha Patni. The Brahman, that wholeness, the power of that wholeness. What is the power of that wholeness? That cosmic creative intelligence. Purusha-Patni, that cosmic creative intelligence, the power that sustains that wholeness. After all, the man has been living, the seer himself was living on and on and on. What he was day and night, morning and evening, this waking, dreaming and sleeping, and now he rises to that wholeness. There is something which has developed in him. And what is that? The power of that wholeness. The power of Brahman has developed in it. What is that power? Huh? What is the second word? Vairajapatni. Vairajyam. The glory. The power of the glory. There was the power of the wholeness. That is one characteristic. Another characteristic of creative intelligence is the power of the glory, because the contact with Brahman is, you read in Gita, is blissful.